Hey, good morning, folks. I hope you can hear us all right. We'll be starting in a minute. Thank you all for joining.
Let me make sure I have the correct deck. All right. I see folks are starting to pour in, but I think we'll kick this thing off. And let me just share my screen here. Alrighty. Can everybody see my screen? Audio?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. We greatly appreciate you attending our new quarterly partner webinar. This is something that Audit and myself and some other folks on the team have really put a lot of time and energy behind and want to start driving forward. So I'm going to jump in here. So a few things we want to go over today, and we'll have a Q&A at the end for folks to be able to ask questions, but current updates within our firm and our organization, some cybersecurity trends that we're seeing both from a partner and client perspective, partner resources that we've put a lot of time and energy behind with the marketing folks, and the partner programs that we are starting to initiate. So most of you guys are familiar with us, so I'm just quickly going to touch on this, but we're a cybersecurity firm. And instead of focusing on a niche, we built out enough teams to be able to really have a longer reach in the cybersecurity space, both from a compliance perspective, consulting perspective, and then a testing perspective. And we'll touch more on some new service offerings that we're initiating, that we started to initiate this year, that I think a lot of our partners would find valuable for both themselves and their clients, really. So I'm going to jump into this here. So as of late, Accorian was announced as
James, sorry, your deck is not moving for me. I don't know about for the other folks. The slides
really
aren't moving for me.
okay. Let me
I'm
see
still
why
on the
that's happening.
first slide.
Huh. Let me stop sharing and see if we can.
While James brings it up, most of you folks we've met. I'm truly excited to kick this off. It's our inaugural partner webinar. And the main reason was that we wanted to have a common platform where we could share information across the board. What's brewing in the world of security? What are some of our other partners seeing? What are the trends that we're seeing? So that that way we're more effective for our clients as a group. James, now I see it. Please.
Should I just tell me real quick if I go in? Is it changing or no?
No.
Okay. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
skip through it
Okay.
then.
Now it's come up. Now it's come up.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome.
All right. So this past quarter, Accorian was announced in the Forbes 200 for India. which we're quite proud of. Both Adi and Premal attended the event. I can let Adi, you want to just give a quick brief on that, actually,
Yeah,
because since you were there?
absolutely. Yeah, no, I think from an industry recognition standpoint, we had two big ones in this quarter. We had the Inc. 5000, which we featured in again, and then we had the Forbes India Select 200 list. And it's especially proud to represent the entire company, all of our partners, all of our clients, and truly thankful to everything that they've done for Accorian and believed in us and our growth, which has led to all of these recognitions.
Awesome. And then Adi, you want to touch on the C-suite roundtable series?
Sure. So we've been running, for about a year. We've had this select a C-suite roundtable that we've had a couple of CISOs and CIOs of very, very large organizations who are customers join this. And this has essentially been a platform for sharing ideas, talking about what's new, what's the latest trend, talking about tools, technologies, and the likes of them. It's vendor agnostic. It's just for a platform where one can share ideas. And we've had about 15 folks on average on these roundtables, and these sessions have been a lot of fun. We've kept it very hush hush, but now that we've completed a year, we want to share it with everybody that we've been doing these select panels. If there's someone that you'd like to recommend to be a part of this panel, just to share ideas and talk about security with fellow security practitioners, this would be a great platform.
Awesome. I'm gonna keep it moving here, and Adi, feel free to take it away.
Sure. So in terms of the Accorian partner program, we've as we're partner first, right? As a company, in the last 6 years, we've worked with many of you folks, and you fueled our growth. But we've always been partner first, and that essentially, it was time that we organize ourselves a little better, and that led to the launch of the new Accorian partner program, wherein you folks will have a dedicated partner team. Someone, the folks that you've been working with, we just revamped the entire process, made it a little more organized. You'll have access to co-branded collaterals. You'll have access to marketing material. We can always put dollars in as part of the market development fund to kind of run various campaigns with you, and the likes of them, right? And we also want to keep you updated on what's selling amongst other partners. What should you be speaking with your larger customers, with your smaller customers, sitting down, drafting battle cards so that, we as a joint effort are making a mark with our end customers, and then doing a lot of strategy calls. So you'll see a lot of initiatives along this, that we've planned for this program over the next couple of months. But the real reason was to get really organized, and so that you have access to all this information in one single repository. So you'll see some of these changes happening in the next couple of months, but it is important that I call it out, because you start seeing emails associated to the new program.
And to piggyback on that, I think something that we have noticed in the market, and the real reason for the partner program, as we've expanded into more industries, we've noticed that some of our clients who have now become strategic partners are doing work that we don't do, or we don't have expertise in. So I think with the partner program, you're going to start to see a lot more companies that are still could be classified as a tech firm. However, maybe not cybersecurity focused, but more tool. We've added in the past year alone, I want to say 2 to 3 new tool partners that really any industry would benefit from. So I think as we continue to expand the partner program, we're going to continue to work with a lot more of these strategic partners that are doing things we just don't have the expertise on, and be able to expand our offering as well as our partners' offerings. Adi, I'm going to jump to the next one.
All right. So slide number 6, James, it's not moving.
Oh.
Yeah, slide number 6. So a couple of things have changed in this quarter, and I've just put a list of some of the trends that we've seen, and there are, of course, a lot in cybersecurity. It's ever so evolving. We've, of course, seen an increased adoption in AI, both organizations adopting commercial Gen AI tools just to become more productive or revamping their products with a Gen AI stack or using a third-party LLM or building their own LLM. So we've seen a rapid increase. Everybody is in this AI race. Everybody wants to, add this entire aspect of AI to their product or service. And that's also led to new threats and attacks, right? Whether it's across, compliance, governance, privacy. Everybody saw what happened with Air Canada, where the chatbot was able, one was able to book tickets for almost free, right? So the rapid adoption of AI has led to new threats and attacks that have emerged, and attackers have, of course, kept up. So we're seeing an increase there. The second is a rise of AI-powered attacks. Just like how, the good folks are trying to harness AI, and the folks who are attackers are trying to harness AI to do better phishing. I've We've started to see very, very sophisticated phishing attacks, business email compromise attacks, and the likes of them. We're seeing a lot more brute forcing as before, because using AI because you're getting rapid speed. We're also seeing a lot of reconnaissance-based activities happening using AI. So there's been a rapid increase here, and that just leads to better detection requirements, better response requirements, better controls in place, just some basic hygiene things that one has to have in place in order to combat some of these, right? The phishing attacks have gotten so good that it's able to in a lot of cases even bypass certain phishing filters or email filters that are there. So yeah. The third is, there's a lot of supply chain attacks that we're seeing to continue to rise, whether it's the large IT MSPs, like large IT services companies, or the likes of them. On an average, most organizations have a couple of hundred or thousand vendors. Like, we at Accorian have close to 100, right? So you can only imagine and do the math. That also leads to the fact that because, these service providers have access to our data and infrastructure, in some cases, it's important that one bolsters the security. We're seeing, these attacks increasing, wherein, it becomes a easy way into a larger organization by virtue of trying to hit the smaller company or the smaller MSP or the smaller SaaS provider who has lesser security maturity as compared to a large enterprise. So that's continued, rise. Patching is still playing catch up. And so attackers using AI are doing a lot more attacks using common vulnerabilities in this configuration. We're also seeing a lot of consolidation of audits. We all know audit fatigue is real. If a typical organization has to meet and maintain over 6 to 7 different compliance standards and requirements across security and privacy, imagine doing this year long. So we're seeing a lot of consolidation wherein organizations want to work with auditors who have the various credentials to have one-stop shop of, of all the audits being conducted rather than working with different service providers and auditors, right? So we're seeing a massive push there. And we're seeing an increase on insider attacks, right? While one bolsters their network configuration, their architecture, their cloud assets, their servers, endpoints, but humans, we're still seeing a lot of gaps in awareness, and because attacks are becoming a lot more sophisticated, insider attacks are increasing, right, across sectors, especially in health, where insider threat far outweighs external threat. So with that in mind, we wanted to just share what's new at Accorian. James, it's not moved. Yeah, what's new? So in this quarter, of course, we're doing a bunch of things, but I just wanted to call it three main things. One is HITRUST came out with a new version, which is version 11.4, and a new HITRUST AI certification. So we're seeing a lot of our clients adopting, the new version of high trust, along with working with us to get a high trust AI certification. What's also happening is if you're somebody who's already high trust certified, you're making the shift from a version 9 to a version 11, which is a massive lift because high trust is extremely prescriptive. They've come out with new requirements and rules that organizations have to meet in order to meet version 11 requirements. So we're seeing a lot of organizations spending time, and that is where Accorian is helping organizations um, figure out the delta and controls of what needs to be done in order to meet the new version 11 requirements, and then doing the audit. We're also seeing a big push on the ISO 42000 side. On the AI side, of course, NIST AI, our risk management framework exists. You have the EU AI Act, you have the likes of them. But truly, ISO is the only one that has a certification, and now HITRUST has its own AI certification. So we're seeing a lot of organizations proactively spend time working to meet ISO 42001 requirements, which is an AI certification standard, right? So organizations are spending time there. I want to call out one little fact. It doesn't matter if you're using a third party AI solution or LLM, or you're building your own, right? From an assurance standpoint, end customers still want you to showcase that, hey, you're managing that data securely, or the data that's going into these AI systems, irrespective of whether it was built internally or by a third party, is securely managed and handled, right? So it's not only organizations that are building their own third-party LLMs going ahead for this. And the third one is Gen AI pen testing. So we had a couple of our customers, send us their chatbots for penetration testing the last couple of months, and we've been doing a lot of prompt engineering attacks and trying to see if the AI can, we can it's hallucinating or is giving out information that's not supposed to, right? So we're having a lot of fun in the AI space, but this is some of the new services that we've been focusing on this last quarter, right? Moving ahead, I wanted to talk about what's truly powering our partner growth this quarter, right? So, of course, there are a bunch of services that a lot of you folks engage with us on, but I just want to call out five main. The first is managed third-party risk management services, right? What this is if you're like the example I gave, most organizations have a couple of hundred or even 1,000 plus service providers. The ability for you to ensure whether they're actually handling your data secure or whether they're secure is the outgoing side, which is it's important to secure them, have assessments conducted on them, benchmark them basis criticality or access of data that they have, or access of information they have in for you as an organization. But there's also a massive discoverability piece. Most organizations don't know who all are their service providers, where all data is going. So discoverability becomes a key aspect associated with third-party risk management. And we're helping organizations both discover, segregate, and benchmark their service providers, and then conduct assessments for them to ensure that their vendors and service providers are, truly meeting internal requirements of security. On the flip side, we're also working with very large SaaS companies, B2B tech companies, to manage their incoming questionnaires. We have customers who have more than 5 questionnaires coming out every day, right? It's massive, right? So we've deployed personnel at these companies to help manage their inflow of all of their questionnaires, create a trust page, create a question bank, answer them, being on calls on behalf of them with their clients to help fill out some of these questionnaires, whether it's a Excel sheet or whether it's on a platform. And that's truly giving them back time, right? uh, because this is the mandate today to fill out a questionnaire that's incoming. The second thing is continuous penetration testing. Of course, we've been speaking about it for 10 years now, but I'm truly seeing organizations moving from their once a year test to more multi-test approach, just for the simple reason that things are so dynamic today. Some application, their sprint cycles have gone down to a week, right? So the applications are changing rapidly. You can't wait an entire year to find out what your vulnerabilities are, right? And the second aspect is how does one do it efficiently without breaking the bank for the client? That is where a lot of AI powered pen testing comes into picture, which, at Accorian, we have that capability. We've invested in both enterprise tools and internal tools to have that capability so that over time, for multi-tests, we can give some of the benefits of harnessing AI for doing faster, more efficient testing, and without breaking the bank, right? So we're doing a lot there. We're also seeing a big NIST push. While certification tells you, gives you a certificate and tells you, hey, you meet a bunch of controls and you have a bunch of requirements that you've met. Organizations, especially mid-market, larger organizations, want to have the big burning question of, am I secure answered? That is where NIST assessments are helping answer the question of whether I'm truly cyber mature or not, right? And of course, there was a new version that came out, the version 2.0 that came out, which has newer requirements, has a new function called govern that's been added with the existing 5. So we're seeing a lot of organizations adopting it, and we're seeing a lot of our partners talking to us about NIST assessments. The next is the red team assessments. This goes a step further than pen testing. Most organizations are doing de facto penetration testing. And as most of you are aware, it has got a little commoditized, right? You have, folks, everybody from folks who run vulnerability scans to actual penetration tests, quoting that do penetration tests. But red team assessments help answer the burning question of, can I be breached? Are my detection response capabilities adequate, right? Can a persistent attacker find a way to make their way into, getting access to critical data? Can my application pipeline be poisoned, right? So we're seeing, these are some of the flags that we're seeing that clients are picking when they want us to do a red team assessment. And a red team assessment truly amalgamates the various uh, good of penetration tests and makes it very, very focused, just like attackers are. Because attackers are not trying to find out every vulnerability that's out there. They're trying to find that one critical vulnerability which they can use to drive or pivot into the network, and then find ways how they could hop in the network and find a way to, get to the actual the actual server or segment that has critical data. And the last is our virtual CISO, virtual security team services continue to grow. This quarter has been very, very good on the partner side. We've seen a bunch of opportunities go through here, because as organizations become more mature, uh, and as security becomes more mature, they don't have adequate personnel on their side to help fulfill some of their compliance or pen testing requirements. And that is where the ability of having a fractional analyst or fractional consultant or fractional CISO really helps benefit them, because they're getting the power and experience of someone who knows what they need to do, right, at a fraction of the cost without breaking the bank, right? So we're seeing a lot there, because whether you're small, mid-market, or enterprise, the security requirements aren't changing, right? Even smaller companies need to meet stringent security requirements to win business and work with larger customers. And frankly, a small business or a mid-market business may not have a full-fledged security team. And that is where they can harness the power of a virtual CISO or a virtual security team. Okay. So I'll take a pause there. And we can quickly go through some of the other frequently asked questions. But I hope this resonated well with some of you. If you have questions, feel free to share it with us. And I'd be happy to answer it. There's some other frequently asked questions, and James can help orchestrate it, and I can just share my 2 cents on it.
Sure. Yeah. So recently, in this quarter, um, over the past, I would say, really the past 2 quarters, some of the things I've been hearing, and some of the colleagues on our team, the Accorian team, have been hearing from our partners are, and Adi touched on some of this in the previous slide, but what are some things to do to stay ahead of the AI threats, both from a security perspective and a compliance perspective? I know Adi mentioned ISO and the AI testing, but Adi, if you want to expand on that briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's an amalgamation of a couple of things. One is to, of course, you can do the AI-based pen testing if you've built your own third-party LLM, right, that you can leverage. On the compliance side, I think it's important to first have some kind of governance structure. So policy procedures of how data should be managed, how should it be, sanitized, segregated, et cetera, right? And does that data flow through the entire pipe? There's also the entire aspect of how does one use third-party Gen AI tools, right? What's the approval process? Who gets access to it, right? What kind of data gets shared with it? So once the governance structure is created, then you can move on to, an ISO 42001 or a high trust AI certification, just to get certified to state that you have the necessary assurance to showcase to your clients. So these are some things that clients can do. Um, yeah, and of course, using a standard or a framework helps with some kind of benchmarking, and you know exactly what needs to be done.
Nice. And uh, Adi also spoke about this, but the cadence of pen testing, um, and I could speak to some of this as well, as the threats are increasing, vulnerabilities, and especially if you have a custom application and that application's constantly changing, those threats become more dynamic, the vulnerabilities increase, and so I'm seeing in my own book of business and clients and partners, if they not a quarterly cadence, at least semi-annual. So every 6 months we'll run tests both on the network and web applications for clients. Adi, feel free to add to that.
No, absolutely. And whether it's quarterly, whether it's half yearly, one has to remember that if you're doing a pen test every year and you're moving to twice a year, you've just increased your frequency by 100%, right? So whatever is a proactive measure. And what's also happening is we as solution providers, service providers, and consultants need to find ways that we can give our customers more continuous pen testing without breaking the bank. And that is where some of the tools and some of the services and solutions that we've created helps organizations with that, right? I think there was a question, from one of our partners on chat regarding can they get more information on AI pen testing capabilities. So there's of course the entire chatbot pen testing that we're doing. We're also doing a lot of architecture reviews to see how data is being managed, how's it flowing through the entire pipe. So we can share some information on this. Right? The next question, and there's another question which is on, what do we suggest as a tool for auditing and crosswalking between multiple compliances? And that kind of ties into the last question that we have, which is what are some of the tools that we can recommend to reduce audit fatigue without breaking the bank, right? So Accorian has its own solution called GoReco, which one can utilize for managing security and audits across multiple frameworks. There are, very similar tools out there, right? I would love for you folks to work with GoReco, but of course, there are a lot of tools out there that are equally good or better, right? That one can always look at. And it completely depends on what is it that the customer wants, right? Are they looking for a security program management tool? Are they looking for just an audit tool? Are they just looking for something for collecting evidence? And that is where I would suggest, going out there, looking at some of the solutions. Of course, doing a demo of GoReco also to understand, hey, how does, this reduce audit fatigue? How does the consolidation happen? How do we take all the controls and harmonize them across all the frameworks so that you have one overarching framework that organizations have to look to meet. So couple of things that one can try. But I think on the consolidation of audits, I'll call it two facts. One is by virtue of having an overarching compliance framework, organizations now are not looking at ISO, SOC, high trust separately. They're just looking at an overall holistic security framework they have to meet. The second thing is working with an auditor who has multiple audit credentials, whether QSA, whether it's SOC, whether it's ISO, whether it's high trust. Now you can do multiple audits with the same team. That means the interviews don't have to be 4x. They can be all done together. You can have a superset of evidence that one can collect so that you can do the audit across all of these various standards. Yes, the testing period and incubation and steady state might be different, but then there's still a lot of consolidation that one can do in terms of interviews or discussions or even evidence. There could be significant overlap across all of them. And that efficiency, rather than doing audits 4 or 5 times a year, truly gives back time to security practitioners to focus on the real issues in security, which is detection response, or how do they address patching or vulnerabilities or issues that one can have in the day to day, right? With that note, I know we're to time, and I did take some questions. James, if you don't mind, can you just bring up the one or two more questions?
Yeah, okay. So I have one right here with some of the smaller clients still needing a strong security infrastructure. Can you assist with managing a smaller security program? Adi, I'll speak on this and you can expand if that's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think there's two folds to this. One that Adi mentioned, which is the vCISO vSecurity, and at Accorian, we have smaller clients that we're managing their security program from a fractional CISO perspective, and the hours range. They could be 10 hours a month or 20 hours a quarter. It's really based on the need for the client. If they're also planning to achieve a, let's say, SOC 2 attestation, then we'll build that into the vCISO vSecurity team program. Whereas the CISO has compliance analysts working alongside them to also complete the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual activities. And then the other side of this being that we compliance is really Accorian's bread and butter, and as we're expanding our offerings, one thing that we're starting to do is bundle our SOC 2s. We have a SOC 2 bundle that's more appealing to those smaller firms, especially the startups that are in the healthcare space. They if they're just starting out, but they are struggling with relationships because they really don't have anything to fall back on, no compliance, no certifications. The SOC 2 bundle that we've put together is both cost effective and effective from a business perspective and a value prop perspective. So, Adi, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. I think as we work with more customers, we come up with new innovative solutions like bundled offerings or security program management as a service where we're doing multiple things, and then you have an overarching, expert who's a VCSO or a vSecurity consultant who's going to, see things through, right? No one wants so we're seeing a lot of initiatives, and we're open to, creating and tailor making them for, customers.
And Adi, we have one more question that I feel like is important to talk about that we haven't discussed yet, which is we have more clients asking us about cloud security. What are some
Yeah.
recommendations around cloud security?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's very pertinent. Of course, there are a lot of native solutions that AWS, Azure, GCP has for security, right? Um, but in terms of what we can do as consultants, we're doing a lot of segmentation testing. We're doing a lot of cloud configuration assessments to benchmark it against various standards that we've developed internally using what's available out there to look at whether one has securely configured their setup. For example, S3s by default are made public, right? And something as simple as that should be made private. So we look at multiple configurations, in some cases over 300 configurations across various services and the instance. So we're doing some of that. We're doing cloud penetration testing where we're trying to see, can we penetrate from the outside in, or if we've been placed in, say, the QA or test environment, can we make our way into the production instance and get access to critical data? So we're doing some assessments on this front, more technical. In some cases, we're also doing cloud risk assessments across using frameworks that are available out there, CSA star and the likes of them. Yeah. So with that
Awesome.
note, I
Thank
know
you.
we're to time, but thank you all for your time.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody being here and attending. And we look forward to the next one in the next quarter.